Everyone, and welcome back to PDA Dad UK. In this episode, I'm going to be speaking with Beverly Walters, who is the organizer and the brains behind the TES SEN Show, which I shall be speaking at and hosting the section for parent, carers, and teachers. As I say, thank you for joining me. Please, before we go on, can you go hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and you'll always know when new content's going up. As I say, we are speaking today with the wonderful Beverly Walters. Beverly, how are you?
I'm good. It's a Friday evening and I'm chilled out. I'm ready for the weekend.
The weekend's my busy time. It's where the kids now. I mean, it's not like that this weekend because there's been school holidays, obviously. They don't go back till next week. So I'm counting down the days till they're back at school and I can just collapse in a heap somewhere. So, as I say, Beverly is the organizer and the brains behind the TES SEN Show. And a while back, she invited me to come speak at the event and also to host the parent, carers and teachers section of the show. But I wanted to dig a bit deeper into it and find out really what the inspiration behind it all is. So Bev, I want to ask, how long ago did you start the TES SEN Show? Because this isn't the first one by a long shot, is it?
No. And I didn't start it. And this year, in fact, we're celebrating 30 years of the TES SEN Show, which was started by a small group of teachers who were frustrated by the lack of opportunity to discuss the issues around supporting children and young people with special educational needs. And back in the day, it was the Publishers Association and an organisation called NASEN that set up the TES SE. Well, they set up the SEN show, and it's been going ever since. They were meeting long before the show was in existence.
That blows me away because 30 years ago, and people in this community, you kind of feel like you often feel very frustrated by the fact that often teachers are the ones who don't seem to understand it. I mean, I spoke to the wonderful Hannah Harris a while back, who is a teacher and a PDA herself, and she was explaining that she'd done the double whammy of the SEN element of her degree to become a teacher. And so she did twice as long as the standard training was, which meant that she had 2 days training. Not one.
It's about right.
And you get it amazes me that here we are 30 years after this has started and we're still in this position in so many ways. Yeah. But this was actually a group of teachers that were passionate about seeing this represented.
Yeah. And it's absolutely amazing. We've come so far in 30 years from all the legislation that has been developed down the line. We're still nowhere near there. We're still got so much more to do, but we have achieved a huge amount, from the Disability Act right through to the Code of Practice. There's so much that now is recognised and formalised and supported around disability and special educational needs. And that's what the show's about. The heart of the show is all of the teachers that come along and share their experience. It's a whole community, the show is. And we really want to celebrate the 30th anniversary in style this year. So we're pulling out all the stops. We've got cupcakes, we've got bunting, we've introduced, lots of little schemes and features for the audience to say thank you, because these are dedicated teachers that give up their time, that are working, double time often to support the kids that they work with and their colleagues. And a lot of that isn't recognised. No. We really want to, make the most of that.
And that is such an important aspect of that side of things, is that they're getting that recognition, I guess, that for the work that they're putting in, because it is something that is so poorly understood. And I mean, this is coming, funnily enough, the video that I just put out today was an interview with Roanna Brewer, who we were talking about the 2022 school bill that's going through. And the potential damage that's going to be done towards SEN parents, particularly, because if kids aren't meeting the 97% threshold for attendance, then they can get fined $2,500 and potentially even jailed. And when you've got kids with special educational needs where school avoidance is a big factor and school's not a safe place, it's a big thing. And what really appealed to me about it, I think, when you asked me to join to be a part of it, was the aspect that it was parents, carers, teachers all working together.
Yeah, that's an element of the show that I've introduced in more recent years. Essentially, the show has always been a vehicle for teachers and education professionals to share expertise and knowledge, because initially there was no training. I mean, we joke about the fact that you get half a day or a day's training around SEN and disability, but back in those days there wasn't anything other than networking and community of teachers. So the show was really set up for teachers, but given the code of practice puts such store on, at least in the legislation, involving parents and a co-production, it was an element that I thought was important to bring into the event, to let parents be aware of all of this information that they can have access to as well. I mean, it may be set up and directed at teachers, but anyone can come along. Parents and carers can come along. So I included this feature to make sure that parents and carers felt welcome, and to encourage teachers to interact with them in a more informal setting than on the school premises. Absolutely.
I think that's part of the beauty of it, because so often I think with teachers, with the education system, and it's a position a lot of parents and carers find themselves in, is that you wind up, it's a very much us and them, because
definitely
so much of the diagnostic process is reliant on school input and feedback. I mean, if kids are masking at school, which is what I'll be speaking on at the show, but with masking taking place, a lot of teachers don't see it taking place, so it becomes this element of parent blaming. So it sets this real us and them factions up. What I really liked about this was that it was putting everyone in the same room to talk, to meet with each other, to exchange ideas, but also to share in something that shows that there are people out there in the education system who care and feel that this matters. I think that's a brilliant thing.
The other thing that the show does really well is to make sure that everybody knows, that all teachers know, that it's not just down to the SENCO or to safeguarding or any one element of the school. It's that every teacher is a teacher of special needs. Every teacher needs these skills and the support and the guidance. And every teacher needs to understand the importance of interacting with the parents and carers, and for the parents and carers and the teachers to learn from each other about the children that are at the centre of the care that they're giving. And that was the reasoning behind the Parent Carer Teacher Forum, because we just wanted to make sure that we didn't miss that element of education.
Yeah, it's so important. And I think if you could put people in the same area to almost join forces, I think it brings so much more weight to both. I think parents feeling heard, parents and carers feeling heard, which is often the biggest complaint I hear, is that it's just, I don't feel heard, I don't feel listened to, I'm constantly battling this system. And the problem that a lot of parents and carers have is that you're not just battling the school system, you're battling the doctors, you're battling the psychiatrists, you're battling CAMs, you're battling everyone in the, educational psychiatrists, every step of the way you're coming up against barriers, and it's just one after the other. And it puts teachers often in a very awkward situation, because parents are just so fed up that they lose that filter at times that allows you to sort of go, I'm going to just draw back and be patient with you. And it's just like, right, I've had it. Here we go.
And that is a real shame, because the teachers really want to help. That's what they're there for. But it's as you say, it kind of sets up that them and us barrier.
It's a system
that nobody really wants.
Yeah, I think that's it. I know so many teachers, funnily enough. I just, through my life, most of my friends back in Australia were all teachers, every single one of them. And it was, it was great getting, to make those friends and see the other side in a way. It was obviously before my daughter was born, but I saw the passion and the love that they have for their job and for the kids that they work with and for the families. And so, I often fall back on that knowledge, knowing that often teachers are just as frustrated with systems that are in place as everybody else. It's events like this, I think, that are really important, because, as I say, they're a unification factor in there that really does help to I say this a lot about the whole, myself and Tigger do our Across the Neuro Divide podcast, which is where we talk about, he's obviously neurodivergent and I'm neurotypical, and we talk about things with the idea being that rather than being these two factions, one on either side of the river and no one actually bothering to try and meet on the bridge, it's like, let's meet on that bridge, let's talk about this stuff. And I think it's the same thing. Events like this provide that bridge, and it allows both parties to step onto the bridge and start meeting in the middle somewhere so that things can get sorted.
And this year, as part of the 30th anniversary celebrations, we're introducing a leadership summit, because we want to give leaders, school leaders, the opportunity to take time out to learn about the latest strategies around supporting children and young people, and to create that ethos and environment for inclusive education. So we've got a fantastic program set up for leaders on the Friday, the 7th of October. The whole point is that it's not, as I said before, it's not about one person having all the expertise within a school. It's about leaders from across the schools. That might be governors, that might be trustees, that might be, if we're giving key members of staff like Senkos the role of managing or leading inclusive practice throughout the school, then we need to be able to give them the tools and the support to do that. Unless the senior leadership can appreciate and understand what the issues are, then that's not going to happen as effectively as it could do. So we created this event for those leaders, and also to help those leaders to see what the show can provide for their staff across the board, for all members of staff, from a dinner lady to a caretaker, to right through to sort of heads of teams, of curriculum, etc. That the event has something to offer everybody, and we've always built it that way. That's how I build and write the program, is to make sure there's something for everybody in the program. Bringing
it to that, I mean, the program itself, how have you structured the show so that it addresses all these different areas?
I like a little template that I use. So there's various strategies, various bits of information that I always like to include in the program to make sure that we're covering all of the bases. At any given time during the seminar program, there are 6 rooms occupied all the time. And so there are 6 different topics that we can talk about at any given time. So through the day, it's building the program to fit something into. It might be, sensory and physical disability. It might be neurodiversity. It might be looking at working with parents and carers, or leadership. There's a whole range, and it's just a template that I've made up and over the years tweaked to make sure that we are covering a whole range, and that the same topics, because when I first started to work on this show for the Mark Allen Group, who now run and organise the show, there wasn't really a strategy in place before Mark Allen Group took over. So I tried to kind of build it to make sure that there's only one dyslexia session on at the time, so that people can go through the day, pick out all the dyslexia or autism or hearing impairment sessions that they want to attend, because at one point you might get 3 of them all on at the same time, and then obviously you can't attend all of them. So just trying to make sure that the program is balanced and has a wide variety of content for all as well. And we ask the speakers in the program to kind of say, okay, who are you aiming this at? Are you aiming it at somebody who's really experienced, or somebody who has the basic knowledge of this area of SEN? So we try and give as much to the audience as possible to allow them to make the choice of which sessions they go to.
It's very much a conference, isn't it? This is really about the educational side of it, and that helping people learn and network.
It is, and there will be a number. A big feature of the show is the exhibition. There is an exhibition, and there are resources on sale. Those exhibitors are specialists to the market. There are some mainstream providers there, but they understand what our audience needs. They understand that, if it were Lego, for example, coming to have an exhibition stand, that the needs of our audience are not the same as the mainstream audience.
Yeah.
We haven't got Lego coming, by the way.
No, but, I was going to say that would be I was a big fan of Top Gear and the Grand Tour. Obviously, Richard Hammond, when he had his accident and had a brain injury. Big
Yeah.
part of his recovery process and his rehabilitation was Lego. It was helping to sort of rewire the synapses that were broken in the brain, if you like. And it was really Lego. Get there. You should approach, because you've got a lot of stuff that can really help.
Salesmen, we need to get onto Lego. But it's that kind of thinking that's behind our exhibitors. They know the sector. Many have been coming for a number of years. I think maybe there's at least one that's been coming for at least 20 years there. They understand the audience and they cater for them. They make sure that the stock's there, that the resources are there for that particular audience.
That understanding is really important, isn't it? Because you're not, so many times you see shows where they're trying to find an excuse to have an exhibitor there or something like that, but really this is about making sure that the exhibitors fit in with the ethos of everything that's going on and have a place within the event. I think that's brilliant. What are you most looking forward to this year? You don't have to say me.
There are so many different bits that I'm looking forward to, and I'm not just going to say this because you're asking me the question, but I'm really looking forward to your interview on the Saturday. So as part of the Parent Carer Teacher Forum, Duncan Casburn is interviewing David and Carrie Grant about their 4 children who all have special needs. They are neurodiverse. They're a neurodiverse family.
I think they're relatable. Kerry described herself as being a warrior mum.
Yeah.
And I relate to that. I think a lot of SEN parents will go, yes.
Yeah. And I think that's why I got them involved, because, they're kind of, minor celebrities, but they are happy to be seen as being parents with the same concerns and worries and issues as any other parent.
Also, the fact that they're a couple in this, and I think something about there's obviously reasons behind it, but I think often you hear from mums mostly in this. It tends to be that mums, if there's going to be a carer at home, it falls to the mother. I'm fairly unusual in being a dad who's the carer.
I was going to say, you don't fit the stereotype.
No, I've got the wrong plumbing. But it's
David and Carrie. Yeah, they both equally have the knowledge and the experience. And when I was talking to them earlier this year about being involved with the show, they were having a bit of the verbal fisticuffs while we were on the video call, because they both wanted to be have equal status. They weren't competing, but David was like, I want to do this. And Carrie's like, I want to do this. I want to do this, because I've invited them to be part of the keynote discussion on the Friday morning. So we've got the DFE and the Council for Disabled Children explaining about the latest SEND review and what's happening, where we are with that. I invited them to be part of a discussion panel that will take place after that presentation. I finally agreed that Carrie would be on stage, but only if David could be in the front row heckling. So he will be.
They've got one of those healthy sparring relationships, and I like that.
Well, not just heckling Carrie, but heckling the whole panel. So he can sit in the front. But that's what we need. We need somebody to challenge the DFE. We need somebody to ask those awkward questions. And teachers will ask from one perspective, but I wanted to make sure that we had a balanced panel. So we've got Carrie Grant on the stage. We've got Anna Marie Hassel on the stage as well, who is the chief executive of NASEN. And we also have Emma Parker from the National Education Union, because whilst I think it's great that the DFE are reviewing the code of practice that came into being in 2000, that was implemented in 2015, that consultation was held early this year. So the DFE are asking the public what they think, how can we put this right? But there are still huge chunks that they're missing. And I think it's important that they're challenged and that ideas are put forward to counter some of the policy that's coming out. So that's why I wanted to get the panel as balanced as possible.
I really respect that. I think that's definitely going to be one to check out. So yeah, definitely. On that, when's the event being held?
The event is being held on Friday and Saturday, the 7th and 8th of October, at the Business Design Centre, Islington in London. The exhibition, the keynotes, and all of the exhibitor presentations on the exhibition floor are all free to attend. There are seminars, and you can book onto them on the website, which is at tessenshow.co.uk.
I will be putting links in the description to all of this as well. So
brilliant. So yeah, come along. There's bound to be something there for you. If you've got any questions, contact us. Let us know if there's something missing that you think we should be involved with, that for the show. In addition to the show, you may be interested in this kind of thing more as well. We've also got the poetry competition, and Michael Rosen, who is chairing the panel of judges for the poetry competition. The poetry competition is something, again, that we brought in last year for the first time, because we wanted to allow young people to reframe the narrative around inclusion, to start those awkward discussions in their schools and in their classrooms, not amongst just their friends, but across the school, and to publicise it as well. So to celebrate those conversations, we started the poetry competition to allow children, young people to put into their own words what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their understanding is around special needs, and to ask questions as well as comment and say how they feel and what they understand. And last year we had an absolutely fantastic competition. The poems that came out of that competition were so emotive. If you haven't already seen the anthology on the website, please, all of you, go and read some of those poems, because they were so moving and so touching, often talking about how they've been excluded and the difficulties they've experienced. And this has been a great way for them to express themselves and to share those feelings. So the poetry competition is one way we're doing that. We've also got the leadership conference that we're running that I've mentioned before. We've got the Parent Carer Teacher Forum on the Saturday, and we've got the Friday keynote at 9:30 on Friday morning, where you can come and challenge the DFE. You can come and ask your questions and have your say. And the last thing I want to mention about the show is it's what we call a teach meet. So, and somebody once described it as the teacher's equivalent of an open mic. Oh. So we invite anyone who's got any innovative practice in their schools, new strategies that they're trying out, that they want to tell the world about, that they want to say, this is what we're doing in our school, and this is how it's impacting the children and the young people that we're working with. Anyone can do that. It's free of charge. You come along on the Friday afternoon at 5:00, and you'll be welcomed in, maybe with a bit of pizza and a glass of wine or a bottle of beer or something. And we try and collect a few prizes, just nothing of any value, just usually some utensil or resource that the teacher is going to appreciate. And it's very informal. It's very sort of light-hearted, and everyone's welcome. And we like to encourage as many people as possible to come along to Teach Me, share your thoughts, or just sit and listen to others and what they're experiencing, where they're experiencing them. And presentations are very short. I think they're usually about either 3 minutes or 7 minutes, and they are timed, and everyone's names are pulled out of a hat. So there's no agenda, there's no program. So it's just really, really informal and a lovely, lovely gathering.
Love innovation that's gone into this and that thought process behind it. It's one of the things that really attracted me when you approached me. So absolutely fantastic. I will be putting all links in the description, so you can go and register for the event. You can see the timetable and the different seminars and parts of the program that are available. You can go check out the poetry competition. It is amazing, and it's a testament to just how incredible our kids are when it comes to this kind of stuff. Some of them are really hard to read without having a box of Kleenex on standby. It's that kind of stuff, but there's also some real beautiful stuff in there as well that really does show both sides. There's that hardship, but there's also that beautiful side to SEND and neurodivergence that really comes through. Beverly, I want to thank you so much for joining me and explaining about the show.
You're welcome.
As I say, I will be there. I'm going to be there running sort of emceeing, if you like, the section on Parent Carer Teacher Forum, and that will be on the Saturday. I'll be there on the Friday as well, so I want to attend and definitely have some words to say, I'm sure.
And you're delivering that fantastic session on masking as well. I'm really looking forward to that.
I will be doing that on the Friday as well. So yeah, it is going to be a really good event. Please do join us. As I said before, please do go hit like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell. You'll always know when we've got new content on the channel. I will see you guys at the show. In the meantime, please do stay safe.